Okay, so I've been putting off writing this for a while because every time I try, it either comes out sounding like I'm bragging about surviving something, or it comes out too clinical, like I'm filling out a police report. Neither feels right, but I keep thinking about it. So, I live in Columbus, Ohio. I'm 27. At the time this happened, I was renting a second floor apartment in Maplewood Estates, which, despite the name, is just three brick buildings around the parking lot with bad lighting. I work remotely, web stuff for small businesses. I was single, living alone, pretty unremarkable situation. This was a late night Tuesday night in early October. I'd been up late, not doing anything in particular. I have a bad habit of staying on my phone way past when I should be asleep. I came across a post on r/true off my chest. Some guy in Cincinnati writing about a break-in at his apartment. Second floor, also alone. I read the whole thing. It was well written, genuinely unsettling, and then I put my phone down and went to bed. Here's where I need to be honest about something before I keep going, because it's actually the whole point of this story. I did not take what happened that night as seriously as I should have, for much longer than I should have, and the reason was something kind of embarrassing. I kept explaining it away. Every single weird thing I heard, I had an explanation for, and then another explanation, and then another one. And I think the only reason things turned out okay is that I'd read that post a few hours before, and at some point, late, too late, it cracked through the explanations. I'm not sure what time I fell asleep, probably around 1. I woke up at some point in the middle of the night, I don't know exactly when, I wasn't checking my phone, and I lay there in the dark with that feeling of having heard something but not knowing what. Downstairs. Something heavy. I lay there for a bit. The Harrisons lived directly below me. Older couple, quiet, but sometimes you'd hear the TV at odd hours, or one of them getting up early. I'd been their neighbor for almost 2 years at that point. I knew their sounds. This wasn't quite their sounds, but it wasn't obviously not their sounds either, if that makes sense. It was in that gray zone where you can go either way. I went with probably the Harrisons. Rolled over. Then footsteps on the stairwell. Slow ones. Not the kind of footsteps someone makes when they're just coming home. Those are purposeful, regular, someone who knows where they're going. These were the kind where you could hear someone thinking between each step. I sat up. And here's the thing I've thought about a lot since then. The moment I sat up, the post I'd read a few hours ago came back to me. Not like a premonition, not like some mystical thing, just my brain had read a story about this a few hours before, and now it was doing what brains do, pattern matching. And my first reaction to the pattern match wasn't, oh no, this is real. My first reaction was, you're doing this to yourself. You read a scary story and now you're hearing scary things. Classic. Which is a reasonable thing to think. If you hear one weird sound after reading something spooky, that's probably what's happening. The footsteps stopped somewhere on my floor. I waited. Quiet. Then more quiet. I told myself, neighbor coming home. That's it. They stop to find their keys, go back to sleep. And I almost did. I was actually pretty close to just lying back down. Then I heard the footsteps go back down the stairs, and I felt the particular relief of having been wrong about something scary. He left, or she, whatever it was, it's gone. I pulled the blanket up, fell back asleep. The next time I woke up, I'm still not sure what I heard first. I think it was already happening by the time I was conscious enough to register it. A sound from the living room. Slow, rhythmic, something against metal. It took me probably 3 seconds of lying there, still half asleep, to understand what the sound was. My window. Someone was working the window frame. I picked up my phone and called 911, and I want to be honest here. I nearly didn't. Even then, I had my thumb on the screen and part of my brain was still running the same program. You're going to feel so stupid when this turns out to be nothing. And the only reason I overrode it is that I'd read about this exact moment a few hours earlier. The guy in Cincinnati, the moment he knew it was real. And I thought, if I'm wrong, I'll feel stupid for 5 minutes. That's the whole downside. I pressed call. The dispatcher picked up. I told her the address, told her I could hear someone at my window. She kept me on the line. I moved to the corner behind the bedroom door. I don't totally remember deciding to do that, I just ended up there. The window opened. Somebody stepped into my living room. I could hear them moving around, slow, careful, coming toward the bedroom. The door swung open. A flashlight beam came through, swept across the bed. Empty bed. The light went off. Quick footsteps back toward the living room, window again, then running footsteps outside, and almost at the same time, a siren coming into the parking lot. I was on the floor with my back against the wall, and I don't remember sitting down. The officer who came, Reyes I think, I was pretty out of it, walked through the apartment and found boot marks on the windowsill. Fire escape right outside, easy reach from the second floor. She asked me a few questions. I don't remember them being particularly dramatic. I remember being cold, even though it wasn't cold. She told me there'd been a similar break-in at the next building the week before, same method. A few weeks later, the building manager told me more about it. Apparently, someone had been working through apartment complexes in the area systematically, scouting first, going through the basements and utility corridors, testing which tenants responded to sounds outside and which ones didn't. If nobody called, they'd come back. I hadn't called the first time I heard something, so they came back. My downstairs neighbor, Meg, I talked to her in the laundry room a bit after all this, told me she'd heard strange sounds from the basement on the same night. She said she thought it was mice. She'd heard similar sounds twice before and hadn't done anything either time. We stood there just kind of sitting with that. I left a comment on the original post, the Cincinnati guy, told him what happened. He replied, "I'm glad you're okay. I didn't think my post would help anyone specific. Take care of yourself." I've thought about that a lot. Not because it's profound, it's not. It's just a nice thing to say. But because the only reason I made that call when I did is that some stranger in Cincinnati wrote out what happened to him and posted it on the internet at 2 in the morning when he probably just needed to get it out. I don't have a neat way to end this. The thing I keep coming back to is how long and how hard my own brain worked to explain away what I was hearing. Not because I'm stupid or unusually fearful of being wrong. I think it's just what the brain does when it doesn't want something to be true. It's very good at finding reasons. I don't know what to do with that except notice that it happened.